So I am going to just launch right into the reading tonight. If you can look at me right now, I kind of have allergy season is upon us. No, I'm not. I don't have a cold. I don't have like the thing that's going on out there. I just have really bad allergies. Super bad allergies. So I'm going to read. It may not be the best tonight, but I'm going to try. As long as you're able to understand what I'm saying, that's all that matters. So here goes. It's chapter 15, and it's called The Trap and the Plague. As they met in his quarters to prepare for the night's excursion to Helfriad, Thakkel noticed Shepkalish carried his crossbow cocked and ready. It was remarkable as being the first time he had seen the small man with the crossbow out since their first meeting. He shot his jaw toward the weapon. Premonition of danger? No such luck. If I had a premonition, I'd be a lot less willing to go out. It's just we've been running loose through Narnish's garrison towns for a good while now. Didn't it occur to you we might be due for some bad luck for a change? Come on. You're gonna frighten Moxstrom, and he's supposed to be our stalwart guardian. Do you feel frightened, Moxa? Moxstrom grinned slightly. If I wasn't frightened over this one, Taharan would pull me off duty and set me cleaning stables where I could do less harm. Yes, broke in Shepkalish. Thakkel is the only one of the three of us, including the mule, not to have enough sense to be afraid. I do so, protested Thakkel, but as the heroic long-lost prince of Batanji, I'm keeping my fear in check so as to not dishearten my loyal followers. Moxstrom looked from one to the other. I'm doomed. I'm going into a dangerous enterprise, and the people in charge are both crazy as loons. There were more patrols in Helfriad's streets tonight. Yeah, and obviously, again with the marking. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be sniffling a lot. Again, allergies. So bad. So bad. Twice soldiers saw the little group from a distance, and once from so close, Thakkel was barely able to get the last letters done before they had to be whisked away. At last they came to the final touch, the food stores again. Shepkalish had gotten into the habit of lighting his magical globe just before they went into whatever locked premises they had chosen, simply to save a few moments' time. A moment after they entered, he stiffened. Something's wrong. What is it? Thakkel was already going to work with paint and brushes. I think we stepped into a soft pop sounded behind a stack of casks. Hee! As the crazy, high-pitched giggle sounded, the mule gave a bray of terror. Hola chunk! Shouted Shepkalish. Moxstrom held his spear level, turning from this side to that, looking for danger. Abruptly, from behind the stacked kegs came a man-shaped figure, arms outstretched, still giggling. Dust gray, unclothed save for the long, lank, dark hair, it smelled of decayed flesh. It seemed neither male nor female. Though it did not run, it covered the ground between them with amazing speed. The mule was bucking and rearing, still braying. Move, idiots! Shouted Shepkalish. Out of here! With me, now! They were suddenly in the hidden ways, a vast and sandy sunlit plain. Keep moving! We won't lose the Holat chunk so easily. As he moved, Shepkalish was digging a hand into his belt pouch. They were in a hot, wet forest, where strange beast screamed unseen. The smell of decayed flesh reached them, and they moved again. Shepakalish had a long length of string in his hands, knotting the two ends together as he moved. They were on a windy plain of grass, where a large skeleton lay on a patch of dry and rocky ground where nothing grew. It seemed to Thakal the skeleton might have belonged to a dragon. They moved again. A large army marched on a road across the valley from them. Bright flags and pennons flew and snapped in the breeze above them. Thakal smelled decay again, and they moved. And again they moved. 3 more worlds, 4, and the Holat chunk was still behind them. Shepakalish had managed, with his knife, to turn the string into a loop, knotted at 4 corners, with 2 free ends protruding at each knot. It vaguely looked like a single mesh of net. Then they were standing on the rim of a large crater, and down below, within the crater, was a large orange glow of molten rock. "Hold here," said Shepakalish. The Holat chunk appeared on the crater's rim, still laughing its horrid, high-pitched giggle, and rushed at them. Shepakalish tossed his loop of cord in a spinning sideways circle. As it flew, it grew and expanded into a net of glowing cords, which settled over the monster, entrapping it. Wrapped in the magical net's folds, the Holat chunk stumbled, fell, and rolled down inside the crater. It seemed to Thakal that it rolled faster and faster. It rolled further and faster than the boulder-strewn slope should allow. But Shepakalish was shouting, "Move, now, quick!" Despite the speed of the move, they caught a brief glimpse of a fierce light, a blast of heat as the Holat chunk hit the molten rock at the bottom. Then they were in a pine-scented forest where soft night breezes blew. "We can rest here for a bit," said Shepakalish. What was that thing? A Holat chunk. The common language would call it the giggling corpse. Once set on a trail, it does not give up. It has powers to follow, even through the hidden ways. Is it the sort of unsavory thing Dr. Gobnash often deals with? Where on earth does a thing like that come from? Asked Moxitrum. Exactly. It comes from nowhere on earth. But it is brought into being by the use of certain spells and talismans. That much I can tell you. If you require more precise specifications, I can try to arrange an appointment with Dr. Gobnash to have him explain it more clearly. Or will you settle for my word that they are totally unnatural and something no wise person toys with idly? I'll take your word for it. What I wonder is if they have those things in every place we might go to. Not likely. Aside from the difficulty of their production, no commander would be easy with one of those things lying around in his quarters. Most likely there was only one stored somewhere in Helifred, with a subtle spell on each of the several places where we might show up. The spell is subtle enough to remain unnoticed until someone comes in, at which point it summons a Holat chunk from wherever it's stored. Very nice for the people assigned to go to the storerooms or draw stores or replenish them. Shepakalish looked at Thakal disgustedly. Even a thick-headed ox driver ought to be able to divine that the trap spell acts against anyone entering a place other than by the door. Shepakalish looked at Thakal. Oops. Thakal had thought of it for a while. Who had thought of it a while. He had thought of it for a while, only grinned. Do I dare bring up the fact that we're not done back there? What? You want to go get trapped again? Perhaps more effectively this time? Think about it. Dr. Gobnash isn't likely to expect that. Even if we escape the Holat chunk, we'd go back again. Why would he bother with another trap? I don't like the risk. Nor do I, Thakal, put in Moxitrum. How many of those Holat chunks is Dr. Gobnash likely to have made? Only one, but listen, if we go back there and you think anything's amiss, we'll leave then and there. The little man frowned. All right, but if we get eaten by Ganomophrades, don't blame me. What is a Ganomophrades? I don't know, but I hope we don't meet one. There were no further traps, and Thokkel was able to finish his painting. A spilled pot and paintbrush lay on the floor. Though some of the paint was still good enough for their purposes, they had to leave a large splotch there to show that they'd been interrupted. I'd like to come back tomorrow, just to show that we haven't been chased off, muttered Thokkel. Shopakalish merely looked at him. They returned to the old city to find it in a panic. The streets were horribly quiet, and for a moment Thokkel thought that the Holachunk might have come to the city before them, for the air stank of decaying flesh. He looked at his two companions. What's been going on? Shopakalish answered grimly. At a guess, I'd say it was the plague. Fierce flying pig guts! I don't suppose you have any miracle cure for the plague in your packs. Shopakalish shook his head. I have a few things that may help, but no real miracles. Any help is better than nothing else. What would you charge for it? Shopakalish gave him a queer look. You're not even sick yet. No, but Lady Lucy is going to have half 1,000 calls for her on her money. It's not merely that people are going to be ill, but there will likely be a lack of workers, which means a lack of food grown, which in turn means increased prices and a war in the spring. Oh, I had to have known better. No, we'll let the price go for the time being. When things are settled down a bit, then we'll talk about prices. It was Thokkel's turn to look askance. What? You thought I was going to buy whatever you had and make a great profit on it? As I said, I ought to have known better. I have a feeling about this plague, too. What feeling is that? Best you come talk with me to Lady Lucy. I won't have to explain everything 4 times. We're going to talk to the Lady Lucy, however. Going to talk to the Lady Lucy, however, was not easily done. A crowd of people waited already in her antechamber to beg for help, advice, orders, and perhaps just the comfort of knowing that she was aware of their suffering. Her servants were hustling around, making snap decisions as to who really needed to see the lady and who could wait a bit. However, when Thokkel told the harried servants, this merchant has some help to offer regarding the plague, the retainers whisked them away to a spot nearer the front of the line. When an aide brought them at last into the Lady Lusomi's plate, oh my goodness, into the Lady Lusomi's presence, she appeared worn and tired. I'm told you have some hopeful news for me? Shopakalish bowed. Yes, I have. I must ask a question or two first. Ask your questions. First off, does anyone know where or how the plague first began? It appears to have spread outward from a section of the poorer quarters. A dead man, a once man, was found there, showing signs of having died of the plague himself. From there it has moved rapidly. Ah, that may well be a piece of good news. The man held up a hand to stem an immediate outburst. You see, I suspect this plague is the work of Dr. Gobnash to weaken the land for Narnish's coming invasion. To make that feasible, the disease must run its course before the invasion comes, so Narnish's army doesn't take losses from it. And all that means I may have a greater chance of doing something to slow the spread of the disease, and perhaps even to heal some of those afflicted. And this will all be very costly, I suppose? Shopakalish bowed. Lady, I am a merchant, and my business is to sell things. But I shall leave the matter of payment until after we see how well I can do. She looked dubious. And when you've done all you can, and provided wonders of healing, will you ask for half my kingdom? Lady, I am not greedy, and what would I do with a kingdom anyway? I assure you, my payment will be nothing terrible, a matter of gold and silver, not your firstborn, like some of the old tales. I dare not ask too much, for fear of having an ox goad broken across my neck. Lucy glanced from Shopakalish to Thakal, but her mind was clearly too occupied to sort out jests and their meaning. He nodded. What will you need? Surely you will need some equipment, some herbs and the like. First, I must look at some of the sick of the plague. Then I'll be able to tell you what herbs I need. You will have one of your servants ready to order whatever I need, and it will save some time to come back here, and I will see you again until I've at least begun the work. That will be done. She looked to her servant who had ushered them into her presence, and he nodded. Talk to Lazorio for all of your needs. More from inertia than anything else, Thakal accompanied Shopakalish on his quest. The little man didn't say much, muttering in some unknown language as he checked for symptoms of several plague victims. Finally he looked up. Yes, I can do something to help. I can't heal or cure everyone, but perhaps we can save a lot of them. They turned to Lazorio, and Shopakalish said, Loose wort and field balm. Dried leaves, as much as you can get. Mix equal portions of the two. Then put a fistful of the mixture into a gallon of boiling water. Let it cool until it can be drunk, and give everyone who is suffering a cupful. 1 cupful to adults, half a cup to children under 12 years, and half that to children under 6. Best get as much of it together as you can and have it ready for anyone who falls ill or anyone who begins to feel poorly. Make this recipe widely known. People can mix it in their own homes to help their family and neighbors. You're certain it will require no more than this? I'm certain whatever we do, we will lose many people, mostly among the very young and very old. This will give a chance to save at least some of them. Now, see to the proclamation of the recipe and gathering of the herbs, and send someone along to lead me to the sickest of the palace servants. With Thakal still following along behind, Shopakalish followed another servant to the small room in the palace where a man lay on a bed, flushed with fever, while a woman was dampening cloths and wiping them across his forehead and limbs. The sick man was barely breathing. Let me see him, said the little man. The woman looked at him strangely, and the servant who guided them said, rather officiously, He brings a possible cure, woman. Still looking doubtfully at Shopakalish, the woman backed away. Shopakalish reached into a pocket and brought forth an irregularly shaped smooth stone of a nondescript gray color. With the stone, he touched the man's chest above the heart. The stone glowed for a moment, then faded, and the little man held it there for a moment longer. He turned back to the woman. I believe he will live now. Go find Lazorio. He'll give you instructions as to how to make a drink that will help him, and you yourself. Then to the guiding servant. Now to the next one. The sycamore rat rode back to the camp with his guard, lost in thought. Lady Junomi was an interesting woman and could carry her own end of the conversation on many topics. He liked her and had come to enjoy these visits, but lately he'd begun to wonder whether she sought more. He had wanted to warn her that an old curmudgeon like himself was hardly a good match for a young woman such as she. But years of being in company of men had taken away whatever gift he had for politely nuanced conversation. His vague memories of old days warned him that no woman would care to hear herself spoken of as chasing a man. No matter how down to earth and sensible Lady Junomi was, she likely wouldn't stand for that. He wondered for a moment about the certainty of his own judgment, of what she would and would not stand for, and then brushed that thought aside. Something should be done, but what? Delphi had brought the shirt he wore, for instance, from my ma. It was a serviceable shirt, not fancy by any means, but had small touches of embroidery work to make it more than just a plain garment. He had worn it tonight, partly to show he appreciated the gift, partly because he had hoped it might serve as an opening point in the conversation, where he could let her know, with no hurt feelings, that he was beyond the age of looking for a wife. The talk had never gone that way. She admired his looks in the shirt, and he had laughed. A dry old stick like me? Handsome? Hardly. Oh well, people seldom see themselves as others see them. Delphi hasn't been a trial for you, has he? With the conversation thus deftly shifted to another topic, he never found a chance to get back to any line that might allow him to warn her against. Lord? Yes? Riders coming up. He could hear them himself now. A little late for anyone to be riding into the town from the camp, wouldn't you say? Sir? Yes, sir, and if it were a messenger for you, it would likely be more likely only one. Right. Better go warily then. He heard the soft chiming and scraping sounds of weapons being readied. He always had a guard with him, of course. Even in the territories, his new allies going around alone was a foolhardy thing to do. Since the coming of the young men from whence, the guard had taken on a new wariness with the knowledge of a fresh threat, possibly from some of the new people being Narnish's men. It was the kind of thing Narnish would do, to use the cover of eager young men to slip an assassin or two into Disickelman's camp. Of the men who had come from his lands, the lands that were once his, that is, he had thought he could be most could be trusted. Even them he would not trust blindly, however. What might a man do under a certain set of circumstances, be it offers of money and prestige or a threat to close family? The hoofbeats broke into a run. Watch out! Here they come! Waiting in ambush, Disickelman knew was a less feasible option here. The only cover beside the road was too far for an accurate bow shot by starlight. Even the sort of thing, to dash up in the trail in hopes of achieving some sort of surprise, was a chancy thing. In this case, thanks to the alertness of his guards, it was a doomed thing, depending solely on the kind of accident that might happen in an ill-lit melee. Young men so often lack patience, though. Bows hummed, arrows whipped, and most of the action was at close quarters, metal ringing on metal. In another moment, the fight was done, and with Disickelman holding his unused sword in hand. 3 young men lay dead, all of them within a year of Fulcidon's age. He ought to have felt joy at having survived, but the sadness overwhelmed whatever joy he felt. Sadness and a renewed anger at Narnish, who'd sent out boys to near certain death. The guard detachment's commander, perhaps without meaning to, helped to pull him out of that state. Youngsters, sir. Too anxious to get the job done, so they forced things rather than waiting for the right time and place. Which cut through most of Disickelman's sadness and anger. If they had chosen a better time and place, it might well be him lying dead. Pack them up and bring them along. No saying these are the only ones sent out after me. We'll let the whole army know, and give any others something to think about. There's a plague loose in Ascos, Dr. Gobnash. Yes, Highness. And by the way you say yes, I take it this is something of yours? Yes, Highness. Specially developed and set to run its course quickly. Be gone by the time the campaigning season is on us. Good that you divine my mood so carefully. Highness, I am not a soldier, but I still know about military things. No soldier will want to march into a land where the plague is rampant, and no commander will want to march his troops there. Good. Now about the graffiti on the walls of the garrison towns? I set a trap, Highness, and the trap was sprung. Whether or not it was completely successful, I can't say yet. If you know the trap was sprung, How can you not know whether it was successful? With respect, Highness, everything has vanished. The people who did the graffiti fled in the same manner they came, and the trap pursued them. It is a thing that, once set on a trail, is near impossible to shake off. I have, as yet, been unable to trace the trail completely. At the very least, I hope to have scared them off. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.